Hi, everyone. This is Tim McGuinness, and on behalf of Silver Event Professionals, I'd like to welcome you to our series of interviews with leaders in the event industry. These sessions are meant to be fun, informal, and brief. So let's get right to it. I'm thrilled to welcome today Shawn Pierce, who is the president of MCI-USA Events. Um, and Shawn, welcome to this peppering of questions that I'm going to give you today.
Well, thank you, Tim. I'm excited to be here and very interested in what's going to go on in the next 15 to 20 minutes here.
I do have the way I describe that, Shawn. It's MCI USA events.
Yeah, technically, I'm head of six different business units of MCI USA. They're all events, both corporate and association management. Our registration, housing, lead retrieval part of our business, our incentive travel part of our business, and our Black Flower luxury agency part of our business here in the USA.
Okay, all right. And we're going to talk about MCI a little bit further on in the discussion.
Sure.
So, and thanks for that kind of quick overview of MCI. But also, I also when I talk to folks like yourself, I like to get to know you a little bit better.
Okay.
So, Shawn, I got a series of questions here for you that I want to pepper you with. And the first thing that comes to your mind, or let me know. All right, you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, Shawn, favorite movie?
Favorite movie? I'm not a huge movie buff. I'm not one of those guys that studies them all, but I like the older stuff a lot. The Alfred Hitchcock stuff, the things that really made you think versus, kind of show you everything and action in your face. I love the things that made you really kind of cerebrally get involved and emotionally get in touch with the movie. That was always better for me than just the pure raw action. Love them, but as far as favorites, I love the stuff that really makes you think.
Yeah, the Hitchcock movies are great. Yeah, I love those too. So anyway, hey, worst job or toughest job you ever had, whether it be in our industry or something that you did prior.
Well, I haven't talked about how I grew up, but I did grow up on a farm, a pig farm, which is obviously tough. But I worked for a rancher in high school as well as worked at a grocery store. And I love this rancher guy. He was fun. He was an American Airlines pilot, long haul pilot, so he's home a lot. But he used to love to make us do work, my buddies and I that worked for him on the weekends. Like one time we were driving T-posts, how you set up a barbed wire fence. We were
Yep.
driving T-posts, literally given to us on a Thursday. And on Saturday, he comes by and really just asked, well, what are you guys doing? I mean, it's 100 degrees outside. We're just driving these T-posts literally as far as you can see here in Texas. And he's like, what are y'all doing? I'm like, well, we're putting this fence in like you said to, sir. And he said, well, why don't you just get the tractor and go up there and watch this? He put it on there and shoved it down with the front end loader, and it went down just like that. And man, I thought I was going to have to kill that guy because we are sweating so bad. But he let us go a good couple of days to really learn our lesson on what it took to put a fence in if you didn't put your brain in work first. So tough job there, but I loved that guy. He would do that to us all the time in various ways
All
and
right.
make us really think first. Like, why don't you ask a question about how you can do it easier before you just start doing it?
Hey, where in Texas was this?
Northeast Texas. I grew up in a town that's just about as small as it gets, a city called Wolf City, Texas.
Okay.
It's 1,500 people. And I lived about 8 miles outside of that town. My nearest neighbor growing up was about a mile away. You couldn't
Okay.
see a home really near you very much. You had to just, take the motorcycle or the tractor and go to the friend's house, the one friend that lived reasonably close.
Just a point of reference. My wife was from Amarillo, Texas.
Yeah, so Amarillo's Panhandle, right?
Yep.
That's the upper Panhandle of Northeast. We would be between for lack of a better way of putting it, Dallas, close towards Paris,
Yep.
Texas. So
Sure.
that area up towards the Red River and that northeast area. My
Yep.
family has a family ranch and property in Hyco, Texas.
Okay.
That's where the family homestead was at. I'm sixth generation Texan. My daughter's obviously seventh generation Texan. So we've been here since the late 1800s, 1847, 1848, somewhere in there, right as Texas is becoming a state.
Okay. All right. Hey, Shawn, what's the best sandwich?
The best sandwich, man. New York City Reuben. I mean, my goodness gracious, that's a pretty good sandwich. Or my grandmother's BLT sandwich. That was a pretty good sandwich too, because you had everything was right there. The bacon was fresh from your own pigs. The eggs were from the own pig. The lettuce was grown out in the garden, and she did not spare the butter when she grilled that sandwich up. It was good stuff, I tell you that.
They both sound good, to be honest with you.
New York City style deli.
And it's lunchtime here too. So
I'm getting kind of hungry myself now that you say that.
All right, apples or oranges?
If I get a good Honey Crisp apple and maybe a little peanut butter on there, I could go with an apple for a while. But if you're out hiking and you want something refreshing, that orange is pretty good. So I think if I had to choose, I'd choose an apple. But can't complain on either way. It was pretty good.
All right. Hey, person you most admire, either professionally or personally?
It's interesting. I think on this question, it's been asked me a lot. There's a lot of people that I admire in life. Right now, I guess I'm really admire. It sounds a little bit like you're sucking up or not, but I'm not. But our current CEO is a younger than I am. Sebastian Tondur, who took over the family. MCI is a family-owned business. Took it over from his father when there was only like 300 to 400 people total, based in Europe. And Seb started into a 2,500 person global conglomerate, and at a pretty young age. That's pretty admirable in the way that he keeps track of everything going on across 31 countries and 60 offices, and the acquisition strategy, and it's a lot. It's a lot for anybody. I mean, my job by itself's a lot, and Seb is doing an admirable job, and that's pretty impressive to me that somebody can keep all that going, as well as have a family, a young family, and travel as much as has to be done in a global company. So pretty impressive.
And where is he based out of?
Geneva, Switzerland.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Last one. All right. You ready for this one?
All right.
If you were trapped in a foxhole, what person would you most like in there to help you get out?
Okay. Let's see here. I think two people come to mind. I know I only get one, but two people come to mind. I sure wouldn't mind being in there. Michael Green. I don't know if you remember Michael Green from Hollywood days, the Miller Freeman days. Michael is somebody that we would get some stuff done. Something would happen. We would get out of there somehow, some way together. And my cousin Craig Pierce, he and I would do that together now. And I know for a fact we'd get out of that foxhole somehow, some way. It'd be hell to pay for somebody.
All right. Two good people. So anyway, hey, listen, Shawn, I want to hear about your, or I'd like to discuss with you your professional journey, right? You've been around a long time, as have I. And, we kind of, I don't want to say we started parallel paths, but we kind of been in the same segments of the business. And you really started out, you're UT grad, correct?
Yeah, I went to University of Texas, yeah. And I actually went there and was going to be in politics. I was a Senate page for a couple sessions. That really helped cure me of my political problems and ambitions. So I did not go to school, as none of us did, Tim, to be in the events industry. Right? We all went for something else. I went to UT for politics and for thought there was a thought there about being a lawyer or something like that. But really just didn't. I was a little bit burned out on the political side of life by the time I was done with those two sessions.
You were on the state end politics.
State level, yeah. I was in Texas. Actually, was on the floor when the Robin Hood, what's called Robin Hood here in Texas, bill passed for school funding. Texas has independent school districts. There are poor districts and rich districts, and that was the way it was forever. And then there was a Robin Hood bill passed where it kind of leveled out that at least every child got a certain number amount of money, which is in its service value a good thing. I think it's good overall, but it was very controversial at the time and was a big deal. From there, I go ahead, Tim. Sorry.
No, I was going to say subsequently you made the transition. You got a job with Miller Freeman, right?
Yeah, I got a job at a small association first, not even just doing marketing and helping them out. And they had a guy show up in that office like 2 days a week and went in this back room, messed around, went around the office and glad handed everybody, and then left. And I thought, what does that guy do? And apparently he was a network administrator. So this is back when networks were hard to put together in an office where you got all the computers to talk and the printers and everything else. And I made the point to my boss and said, well, why don't you, don't we need a backup? I mean, he's only here a couple of days a week in case something happens. And so they sent me to network administrator school. And then subsequently, I graduated to make this go faster. Subsequently, they let him go and said, hey, we don't need that consultant anymore. They were paying him $50,000 a year. I'm making $24,000 as a marketing person. And I thought, this is the best thing I've ever done in my life. They're going to let him go. I said, I'll keep doing my marketing job and I'll do that
Right.
job. And now I'm going to be at the 50, $60,000 range. Makes
Right.
total logical sense to my, young, very young 23-year-old brain, right? And that isn't what they did. They offered me the great sum of $28,000 and told me I would be super impressed with that raise and I would do both jobs. And I
And
realized that
you should be grateful for that too, right?
exactly. I thought this is a good lesson early in life as you're later an executive and a manager and things like that. But I took my skills and I put them on the road and said, I want to apply for other jobs. Miller Freeman was hiring
Yep.
a network administrator and a manager of their technology department.
Did you even know who Miller Freeman was or what they
Not
did?
a clue. Not
Okay.
a clue at all. And I went in as a head of the network and managing the IT department. And I was 24 years old.
Okay.
And so I was there, and immediately we were buying Precision Planning and Sales, Galen Poss, Michael Green's company.
Sure.
And they asked me to go over there and integrate them into the network and set them up for email. So the funniest thing ever, Michael Green was highly against all this and was highly against email. He thought email was going to be the biggest waste of time and the internet was not going to be very useful.
Yeah.
That's the I remember those. He and I still laugh about that together today. So it's pretty funny. But Galen came to me and said, Shawn, I see you doing all this network stuff. It's great. This is probably 6 months after I was there, 8 months. He said, wow, I think you could really do some help with us on this registration side. It's basically just technology. All you got to do is, he showed me a badge at the time, just a little badge, first name, last name, company, and city, state. Well, that's easy.
Right.
I was tricked more than I ever thought I could ever be tricked in my life to get into doing registration at that time. But I said yes, and that set me on the path of being in the event side. But I did say to Galen before I took it, I said, why would I do this? Why would I move from technology? Right. I look out my window and find any company that needs me versus and have a job versus go into technology, go into this event stuff, which I don't know much about and even how big it is. I don't even know what it is. And he said, you're right, Shawn. You can go out there and get a job anywhere you want. You'll have a job. You want a career, you want to change your life and change people's lives, you want to be in the events industry. And
Galen's a good salesman.
He was. Well, I was like, you're right. I do want a career and a good life. And he was right.
Yeah.
And that put me in the path of being at Miller Freeman, being in the registration side. And I wrote the dumbest note with Galen to the board saying we should consolidate all 115 trade shows worth of data. So we had that information into one system. And they said yes. And I got 2 years and $2 million to do it. And I went from 6 events that we were running to over 80 events that I was running in registration and putting that together. So that's how I learned everybody in the industry that I know, the Don Pazurs, the Tom Kemps, name your poison in the industry that have been great people for me to know over the years.
So did you migrate, Shawn, from the registration portion of the business over to managing a portfolio, or did that not occur?
I went from there to operational side. Okay. So basically, when we left Miller Freeman, Miller Freeman sold off in 2009, the year 2000, 1999, 2000. When it was selling, I exited with Galen and Michael, and we went and helped start Rick McConnell and some of the starting David Audrain, starting up Hanley Wood Exhibitions. And I was tasked with putting together all of our operating methodology. So we had individuals running the teams as far as the event groups, Galen and Michael, dealing with the private equity and everything else. And I was tasked with putting together the operations of the entire business. How I helped create, you could talk to almost everybody out there with A to Z. Was not a product at the time. I was out there with Rajiv, and we needed it. We needed a product like A to Z and help Rajiv, and we really got that thing to where it was a product that would work for all of us in this industry at the time, with real floor plans, with real space assignment, and all that stuff. And then as we were acquiring, it's my job to go and grab those companies, integrate them, pull all their data, move their team in and evaluate the M&A side of it, do integrations. And that was it's a big task. I mean, we were buying World of Concrete, surfaces, remodeling, pool and spa. I mean, these are big shows. And then I was tasked with being an interim leader over various attributes of the events during times when we'd acquire them, right? You acquire something, hey, Shawn, take over this portion of it for a little while, operations or sales, whatever it may be, until we hire in and then hire behind and get that going. And then I got heavily into being we were big in training. We were big trainers at Hanley Wood, training everybody on the methodology and trying to lead the team on training of our exhibitions management team. So those people are going on site, being the floor managers and doing that effort, because it was pretty difficult. Services is probably the hardest show I ever did from a floor management standpoint, because you had to build, their product was the floor. So you
Yep.
had to have all their stuff to build a floor, then to build their double decker on top of the floor. And
Yep.
there's not space for all their stuff. There's not enough space for the crates. And so we were shell gaming and having to really figure out how to do that. It was definitely a Super Bowl level event for floor plan management at the
So
time.
how did you migrate from Hanley Wood over to MCI? And when did that occur?
Hanley Wood. So Hanley Wood in 2008, 2009, obviously the huge downturn in the economy really hit the housing market and
Yep.
construction market heaviest. At the time, it's pretty well known. Galen and Michael were the two principal partners, and then Rick and I were the next junior partners in the deal. Rick McConnell and I, and Galen and Michael exited because the private equity company basically said they weren't going to
Correct.
pay them their 2007, 2008 bonuses because of the economic downturn. That caused a big issue. That story's out there. They exited. They asked Rick and I to step up and run the organization, but I didn't trust them. I was highly untrusting. I mean, it was definitely a Jack and the Beanstalk thing. Here, take these magic beans, and maybe in 3 years something will happen, and da 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 da. And it was tough, and it was tough on me because I had helped build that entire thing from the ground up. But the reality was that I didn't trust the ownership. And that was the deal. And so I was then recruited and brought in by Jeff Price and the board of directors for Experian. They said, "Hey, we need you to come in and turn around Experian, and the old Galaxy and those sort of things, coming in and see if you can turn this around because we want to get it sold in the next 3 or 4 years. Can you come over and do it?" Well, that was a pretty big deal for me because I had to then move from Texas, sixth generation Texan, to Maryland because Experian was a great company. They were in a morale crisis. They had been getting pummeled in the marketplace by various self-inflicted wounds, if you would, and the staff needed an injection of spirit and the opportunity to believe in themselves. And the only way you can do that, honestly, Tim, is be present. You've got to be there.
Yeah.
You can't do that far. And
Yeah.
so I relocated my family up there. I was there 7 years in Maryland, but in 2.5, 3 years, we turned it around from a losing proposition to a positive, and it was sold to Merritt's. So Merritt's bought it. Oddly, at the time during that process, I was introduced to Seb Tundur and Robin Lokerman and some others from MCI because they looked at the company for possible acquisition.
Sure. Yep.
They were only in Europe. They weren't in the U.S. at all at that time.
Yep.
They decided not to. Merritt's bought it. I had a 2-year contract with Merritt's and then exited from Merritt's. As I was exiting Merritt's, I was contacted by MCI and said, "Hey, we're thinking about coming in the U.S. now. Finally, we need it. We think we have enough money. We have enough stature. We can do this. Would you be willing to put together a business plan that'll show us what the event side of our business could look like in the U.S.? We're going to go and acquire a company. It's called the Coulter Companies in D.C. That's an association management company and had some event work on it and a small agency. So that's how I got to MCI. I took the job of MCI from zero. There was no MCI-USA, MCI events at all.
So really, with MCI right now, you really, I want to say in a very short time, you built a pretty robust portfolio right now at this point. You're right. You got 130 employees.
Yeah.
But when MCI entered the North American market, what was the core focus of their business? Was it registration? Was it event management? Was it all, or all of the above, right?
Really, event management was MCI Globally's. We call ourselves an experiential marketing company, and the event side was the big component of that from Europe. But buying the association management company that's competed with Smith Buckland and stuff was a big part of that world. We were doing that in Brussels and in the U.S. and in Geneva. The U.S. is by far the largest association management side of MCI globally. I don't really touch that side. I'm not great at committee work, but it's an important part of the business overall. So I handle all the event side. So if we get an association that has an event, my team will help to service that process. From an operation, logistics, sales, marketing, whatever it takes.
So you really handle, well, I don't say the back of the house operation, but you do some of the back of the house operation for managing and servicing those clients with those services, but also too, you do the sales element of it also. So,
Yeah, we do the sales. Sonic sales is a part of our overall role. Marketing for attendees. We do everything. I mean, it's full event management for either associations or corporate. I also have a full incentive company inside here. We bought Wyndham Jade. I bought Wyndham Jade in
right,
2017. Added
right.
that in the portfolio. We bought a company in Baltimore. Added that in the portfolio, and have been growing through both organic and acquisitive growth over the last since 2016 when I started here. So it's been quite a ride. We are doing very, very well. We are real proud of our process. My title is president of strategic events,
Right.
meetings, incentives, and I put that word in there on purpose because I don't want to just do logistics. I don't want to be, somebody to help
Yeah.
you make sure your food and beverage orders are right.
Yeah.
We want to make sure
Right.
that even why you're doing food and beverage in the first place. What's the point? And then help them to realize the dream of the event and help fix it up and get it going for them as an association or as a corporation.
So what's on the horizon for MCI in the next, 24, 36 months for you guys?
Yeah, we're certainly still in a very acquisitive stance. We are looking to acquire in the corporate space, corporate event management, corporate experiential. That is an area of focus for me and our team here. We stand acquisitive even in our current business lines. So we will continue that process to keep looking at acquisitions and add them into our portfolio. MCI expansion is still taking place. We just entered Mexico as well. So we're
Is that under your umbrella, Shawn?
actually that's done out of Brazil. Our
Okay.
Brazil office does Mexico. There's some alignment there, languages, and some other things that kind of work. Obviously, we got Portuguese versus Spanish, but there's already a presence there through our Colombia and our other offices down there. So it works out really well. We needed Mexico. We do a lot of work in Mexico, obviously, and it's nice to have a true partner. MCI doesn't partner with companies we acquire, and those people become W-2 employees of MCI. So that's really a big difference from us and other competitors in the U.S. is that we are truly in those other countries.
Are most of your employees remote folks?
Yeah.
So let me ask,
Post-COVID, we really broke up our offices. We have 5 offices, but for the most part, everybody's remote.
how do you manage that as a leader of a fairly sizable organization? And that's always a question that I ask people, right?
It
Because
is tough.
post COVID, we went remote, then we kind of did this. Went back to this hybrid. Now you're seeing a lot of organizations that are going back full time at this
Yeah.
point. But listen, I've worked for a remote organization also right after COVID. How do you manage it as the leader of MCI North America?
Yeah, it is tough. It's not. I would say it's not my full time preference, right? I'd love to be around everybody every day. I like being there. I like having
Yeah.
interactions and things like that. We're extroverts by nature, right? That's how we are in the
Yeah.
events industry. Um, I have a thing where they have a collaboration day, so one day a week. Each team leader needs to bring their team into an office close to them to have a collaboration day. So that's an area for us to offer opportunity for us to interact. If they're a brand new employee, if they're first job out of college, they need to be in the office for the first few months to learn how to be, a talent that's within a company. It's tough on people to learn how to work when you've been at college and now you're trying to work.
Yeah.
It's just hard to think about. So we really like them to be in the office for the first few months before we sort of allow them to be at home full time. We have a lot of town hall meetings. We have a lot of interactions. I have a lot of team meetings. I join in on team meetings randomly. I did learn a lesson first thing off on interesting, Tim. That was my interesting. Right as COVID hit, and I was feeling disjointed from the team. I just picked up the phone and started calling people on video chat, and it freaked them out. Right? I didn't realize the time when the president calls you. Why is this guy calling?
Why is he calling?
Yeah, I would call like I call you, Tim, and I get a call from your boss. Hey, Tim's wondering what's going on. You okay? You think Tim needs to do? I'm like, I'm just calling Tim because last time I saw him, he got a new dog. I wonder what the hell's
Right.
going on with his dog. I wanted
Right.
he got married. What's happening?
Right.
And
Yeah.
I want to have that touch, which is tough. We also have some every other week we have these things like we call it smoothies. So we
Yep.
send them a card so they get a smoothie with Shawn. You can have a break in the afternoon. So I do it with 3 people at a time where I learn about their life. It's nothing to do with work. They can ask me any questions they want. We talk about them personally. We send them a little questionnaire about movies and TV shows and things like that. Fun questions like you asked earlier, just so I can get a little bit of understanding who they are and see
So
them.
really, you guys haven't really missed a beat with your folks being remote at this point, right?
No, I do always. I'm constantly on guard about training and morale. Those are what I'm always on guard about. We're lucky enough to have Donna Johnson on our team, who won IAE Educator of the Year last year. She does a good job of constantly doing training and lunch and learns. We're constantly trying to get people to learn because, as you know, our business, we have to teach them how to do the business. People have to learn this business from others. You can't just,
Yeah.
read a book or go online. You can't go to AI. You need to learn with somebody.
Right.
That's, I know we're getting close on time, but I just want to, I know it's a lot of fun. I like this conversation a lot, Tim.
Yeah. Hey, I have one last question for you before we get off, and I do appreciate it. And I know we're running a little bit long. Is challenges that you see going ahead at this point. And, I want to bring up two subjects, and tariffs, number one, which impact costs, right? And the other one is kind of AI at this point.
Sure.
AI is, obviously a popular buzzword with every industry right now at this point. And I think a lot of organizations are still trying to figure it out. How's that impacting your business, or how do you see it impacting your business?
Well, I think too. So let's look at the tariff one first. I did a little bit of conversation on this the other day, where I think that people need to make sure they're starting to source as local as possible.
Yep.
Work with your vendors, work with your teams, work with your various locations to source as locally as possible. So you can just take out the possibility of downside. Now, maybe it's a little bit more. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it is, but you have assurances. Product's going to be there. Service is going to be rendered. Things are going to happen. I'm not waiting on foam core board out of China. I'm not
Right.
waiting for something to come in out of Canada, even. It's
Right.
here. So
Right.
I preach that a lot. We need to make sure to have a quotient that says we're protected. On the AI thing, we've been after AI now for a couple of years. I'm lucky enough to have Jeff Moore on my team. We've been highly after this. We've been promoting it at IEE for 2 years now. We are well down the line. I have all my customer services done through AI now. All of my operational project management stuff is being looked at through AI. The company has put rolled AI out to everybody's desktop with Copilot, which is just great. But I don't think people truly have an understanding the amount of change in their life that's coming over the next 24 months. It
Yeah.
is going to be staggering.
Yeah.
What's going to change for the events industry? I think it's actually a great thing. I think we're going to actually accelerate. Matter of fact, Mark Cuban quoted just the other day,
Yeah. I
about
saw
6 weeks
that.
ago, that he thinks it'll cause an explosion in face to face because people won't know what's real unless I'm there to
Yeah.
see it, and
Yeah.
they can't get the human tactility, the human connection, the human interaction. They'll start to disbelieve a lot of things that are going on until they
Yeah.
can see, touch, and be there themselves. I think it's so true. The other one that's coming up that's not as much on everybody's radar as much seems like today is the humanoid robots. I think robotics and robots in the next 5 years, 2030, you're going to see them in higher income individuals' homes, at our events. We're going to
Yep.
figure out what we're doing. Are we going to allow them on our show floors? You can have one. You have one per person. What about hotel
Yeah.
rooms? What are you going to do that? How are you going to charge these things?
Yeah.
On and on and on. It's going to be pretty staggering. But AI by itself in the next 2 years is going to change the entire complexity of the world. And for our side of the world, I think it's going to actually improve people coming to events because they want to be near other humans and see things and feel things and buy things in reality from real people.
Good to know you feel that way about AI, which is a good thing. So, hey, listen, we ran over.
Of
So,
course.
and I think I told you when we started, we probably run over, which is fine. Shawn, I could talk to you for an hour more, just picking your brain on stuff. But listen, I do appreciate your time, this has been fun. And at least listen, you taught me some things. I learned some things here during this conversation, so I do appreciate it.
I appreciate you doing all this, Tim, and I appreciate your start this little group, and hopefully we can all use it for even better things, to help each other out in various ways as well. So thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for doing this yourself. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Take care.
Cheers. Bye.